Okay, so my presentation for my favorite brain part is over the amygdala. It's one of my favorite parts of the brain just because I love pronouncing it, and it's very interesting to me how it works with the limbic system to produce emotions and deal with that. Um, Throughout this presentation, we'll be talking about the comparative anatomy, so just what system it's a part of. Then we'll talk about the structure. We'll talk more in depth about that system, about the nerves, the instincts, stuff like that. Then we'll get into development, which we'll talk about the first couple years, and then androgen receptors that are in there. And then we'll talk about the gender, if there's any differences between like development, sizes, if there's any difference between the left and right amygdalae, and what the difference is between male and female, if any. And then we'll talk about the functions, talk about the connections, the learning, the rewards, the memories. And then we'll get a little bit into the history, not too much, just about who found it, around what time, and then who coined the name amygdala, and what year that happened in. So for the anatomy, the amygdala is part of the limbic system that deals in, it's just a complex of nerves and networks in the brain. It's near the edge of the cortex. The structures within that, it deals with instincts and moods. It controls the basic emotions like fear, pleasure, anger, and it drives hunger, sex, and dominance. That's the main thing with the limbic system. But with development, there is considerable growth within the first few years of structural development in both male and female amygdalae. Within that period, female limbic structures do grow at a more rapid pace than male amygdalae. The amygdalae in females reaches its full growth potential within like a year and a half before the peak of male development. The structural development of the male amygdala occurs over a long period of time than woman does. And despite this early development of female amygdalae, they reach their growth potential sooner than males, whose amygdalae continue to develop. The amygdala is rich in androgen receptors. They're just nuclear receptors that bind to testosterone. Androgen receptors, they play a role in DNA binding and it regulates gene expression. Though testosterone is present in females, women have low testosterone levels than men do. The abundance of testosterone in the male hormonal system may contribute to development. The gray matter volume on the amygdala is predicted to be testosterone levels, and this may contribute to the increased mass of the male amygdala. So there is some differences when it comes to male and female amygdalae. The amygdala is much larger in males than it is in females and children ages of 7 to 11 and adults. And also when it comes to adult rats, the males have larger amygdalae. Besides size, there are other functional and structural differences between males and females. The right amygdala is also linked with taking action and as well as linked to negative emotions. So this may help explain why males tend to express stressful stimuli more physically than females do, while the left amygdala allows for the recall of details. So this could explain the absence of physical response in women. So one of the main connections is the amygdala sends projections to the hypothalamus. Like I said before, the hypothalamus, like the limbic system deals with your sense of thirst and hunger. So when the signals get sent to the hypothalamus, that's when they send hormones out to your body telling you that you're thirsty or you're hungry. And then with emotional learning, amygdalae perform primary roles in the formation and storage of memories, which is associated with emotional events. So that could be something due to fear or happiness or sadness. And then with reward, part of the amygdala sends projections to the nucleus accumbens or the NAC, the shell and core. And activation of these projections drive motivational salience. The ability of these projections to drive is dependent upon the dopamine receptor D1. And with memory modulation, following any learning event, the long-term memory for this event is not formed instantaneously. information regarding the event slowly assimilated into long-term storage over time. And then with the history, in the early 19th century, I'm probably going to butcher the name, but Burdock discovered it, an almond-shaped mass of gray matter in the interior part of the temporal lobe. Um, and the first anatomical description was made in 1867 by Maynard. I probably butchered his name too. So this ends my presentation about the amygdala. I hope you enjoyed and hope you see why this is my favorite part of the human brain, just because it's so complex and there's a lot of moving parts within it. Thank you for your time.